I saw that you did like it was a tour of the Charleston's Triangle District and with WV Freedom School. Do you remember that at all?
I do.
Could you explain to me what that was like?
It is interesting you would bring that up. You know, I'm an amateur historian in a very narrow way. I'm trying to understand, you know, the history of black people and history of poor white people. And why is it that we can't figure out we need to be working together? Because we got the same challenges and the same issues that we're dealing with. So I'm always trying to figure it out. So being in Charleston has been interesting to me because I knew there was a history here that I didn't understand. And how could blacks in Charleston be in such a difficult situation, right, that we're currently in? And so in trying to figure some of those things out, and it took me a while to figure it all out. But then, you know, reading and listening to people talk, and a young lady by the name of Anna Sale, back over a decade and a half ago, was doing her senior thesis on the Triangle District in Charleston. And she's from Charleston, lived up in a affluent neighborhood in South Hills, but she was going to school at Stanford. And she came back and she saw an article about me in the paper and came to talk to me. And I said, I'm not from here. I've heard bits and pieces about the Triangle, but I don't fully understand it. But there are some people I do know that are from here and you to talk to them. She's the one that inspired me to figure out this whole idea about the Triangle. She did a senior thesis. It looks more like a book. It's 150 pages, incredible document. And she documents the history of the Triangle. So here's the deal. What the Triangle was in downtown Charleston, there was an area that was triangular in shape. Geographically, it looked like a geometric triangle. And it was the area that had been set aside to allow blacks to settle. Every city has a place like that. Every urban city in America has a place. They're doing a great migration. As black was moved from the south to the north, blacks were allowed to settle in certain places. Charleston was no different. And it was a triangle. And so in the 1960s, the Charleston business, economic, culture, and social elites wanted that land. It was prized property. It's the heart of downtown Charleston. And they had an opportunity to get control of that land with the aid of the federal government. And so the Interstate Highway was being built to connect Interstate 79, running north and south, and in 77, Interstate 64, running east and west. And they were going to come through Charleston, West Virginia. And all different cities was going through this. So Charleston decided we're going to bring the interstate through the town. And the federal government saying we don't think it's a good idea. It hadn't worked out well in other places where African American communities have been destroyed. But Charleston decided to do it, and that's what they did. And so it's the greatest displacement of black people in West Virginia in history in terms of the number of people that are displaced. And it caused just bitter heart feelings, the way that it was done. People didn't understand what was coming. They didn't know that the federal government was funding a lot of this by allowing them to bring the interstate through the triangle, through the black community. And several hundred people were relocated. And there were protests and there was demonstration, and they had a tent city and people were camping out downtown. And that's the history of the Triangle District. And it was like it didn't happen. It's like it didn't happen. This was 50 plus years ago. And it's a history that's been really kind of forgotten. And I began to try to figure out why is it that black people don't talk about it? And I think I unearthed why. They were traumatized by it, and they were embarrassed and ashamed they couldn't do nothing to stop it, even though they tried. And they went to court, and the court would rule against them. And they went to federal court, and they went to try to get to the Supreme Court. But eventually the triangle was destroyed. I mean, demolished, and nothing left standing. And so these students were coming here, and I was giving them a tour to say, this is where black people used to live, right? Downtown Charleston. And it was demolished. In the way it was done was so unfair. And that created some attention. I had one of the most powerful business people in this state and in this area said to me after he saw that article in the paper, he said, you're trying to inflame black people and you're trying to convince them they've been mistreated. right? And you're angering whites that would help you do the work you're trying to do to where they didn't want to help you. And what I said to him is that you're overestimating me and you're underestimating black people. I said, you overestimate me. I wish I did have that type of influence. The blacks would listen to me, right, in what I was saying. Because I think I could help get us out of this. But I don't. I don't have that type of cachet. And I told him, you're underestimating blacks. I said, no one needs to tell them they've been mistreated. And no one needs to tell them they're being mistreated now in a lot of ways. And I said, you're overestimating the goodwill of affluent whites because they really want to help. There's nothing I could do that would keep them from doing it. If they really want to respond to what's happening to poor black people in this community, they would do it in spite of me saying something. So, that's what that's about. And this is still, it's not over. We're right in the middle of this right now. This whole deal with what's happening right now with the West Side Community Renewal Plan, which is supposed to be a plan to revitalize historic black community on the west side of Charleston, which for the last 11 years, the city of Charleston, the Cure, has not done what we believe the law requires them to do, and what they've committed to doing, it has not been done. So we've had to make an appeal. We said, well, let WVU Law School. So right now, the plan is the WVU Law School. We asked the WVU Law School to review the plan because it's our position they develop a plan that is not in compliance with the 1952 Urban Renewal Law. They don't have the details and the specifics to address the health, public health, mental health, and the looming public safety crisis that exists over here. West side of Charleston, according to the Center for Disease Control and the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, had the 27th lowest life expectancy in the United States of America. The 27th lowest life expectancy in the United States of America. And we're surrounded by one of the three most sophisticated healthcare systems in the entire state. WVU, Morgantown, Ruby, and the medical school. And we got the Charleston Medical Center down here, and the WVU Medical School that's down here. And we got Thomas More Health System. We got Charleston Heart Center, Women and Children's Center, Trauma Center, Cancer Center. That's just CMC. Plus the medical school, plus Thomas Healthcare System, plus the highest per capita of doctors, physicians, and specialists in the state surrounding this community. You're with a 27 lowest life expectancy because of this historical and present neglect. So, so that was like 2014, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, about that, yeah.
Remember that time frame. Mm-hmm. So we're still trying to, to get the attention, to bring people together and say, let's do something to change the trajectory of a community.